Good morning, class. Before we begin our lesson, let's pray. Our kind and everlasting Master, we thank you for this special moment as we'll be starting our class. May you be with us all through. For this, my humble prayer, trusting and believing in Jesus' name. Amen. This is Group 1, Geography, and we'll be doing a presentation on climate. By the end of the lesson, the learner should be able to know what climate is and to describe the factors that influence climate and distinguish between weather and climate. Introduction. The definition of climate. Climate is the long-term record of weather conditions of a certain region for at least 30 years. That is the first definition. The second one, climate can also be the expected mean and variability of the weather conditions for a particular location, season, and time of the day. Let me welcome the next presenter.
Okay, let's continue with the distinction between weather and climate. Weather refers to the short-term atmospheric condition of a place. It includes factors such as temperature, humidity, wind, precipitation. Weather can change from day to day or even hour to hour. Climate, on the other hand, represents the long-term pattern, an average of weather condition of a region over an extended period, typically 30 years or more. Climate encompasses of general trends in temperature, precipitation, and other elements, and it helps us understand the overall climate characteristics of a place. Let me welcome the next presenter.
Let's look at the factors influencing climate. Climate is influenced by a wide range of factors. These factors can be natural or artificial. Artificial is also known as man-made factors. The first factor is the human activities. In human activities includes the deforestation, that is cutting down of trees, urbanization, when there is a growth of a town, and the burning of fossils, which includes burning of charcoals, which brings the carbon. These activities done by man influence or alters land use, which, for example, in deforestation, when there is mass cutting of trees, that area can be converted into the desert, which influence climate. The second one, we have the land use changes. These land use changes include the alteration in land use, such as urbanization and agriculture, which can cause the change in local climate condition. The other factor is the greenhouse gases. These greenhouse gases include the carbon dioxide, methane, water vapor, and others. So the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere traps the heat and influence the temperature. These gases causes the high temperature, which leads to affecting the climate of that area. Also, we have the solar radiation. This is the amount and distribution of solar energy that reaches the Earth's surface, which impacted the temperature and climate patterns. So, in this solar radiation, this includes the sun rays which hit the ground, causing the evaporation, thus influencing the climate. The other factor is the ocean currents. Ocean currents help in distribution of heat around the globe and can affect local climate conditions. We also have the atmospheric circulation. The movement of air masses and pressure systems, such as the polar cells, play a significant role in shaping the climate. The other factor is the volcanic activity. Major volcanic eruptions can release aerosols into the atmosphere, leading to short-term cooling effects. We have the natural climate variability. Natural phenomena like El Nino, which is influenced or other people. El Nino is the long-term rain which causes the floods and can cause the periodic variation in climate patterns. We have other factors, so that you can discuss those factors in groups of 2 in class. In conclusion of these factors influencing climate, they interact in complex ways to shape the climate of different regions, leading to the wide range of climate zones and patterns observed around the world. I take this time to welcome the next presenter.
So we're going to look at the sources of air masses. We have 5 types of air masses. This is a tropical air mass, polar air mass, equatorial air mass, continental air mass, and maritime air mass. So when we look at the tropical air mass, it originates from the low latitude tropical regions, that is near the equator. Most warm and moist, they are warm and moist due to high temperatures and abundant moisture from oceans. When they move to higher latitudes, they bring warm humidity, often leading to rain. So in the polar air masses originate from high latitude polar regions. Cold and dry, they are cold and dry due to low temperatures and limited moisture. When they move to lower latitudes, they bring cold temperatures and can cause precipitation, especially when meeting a warm air mass. Equatorial air masses, they are formed near the equator. They are very warm and humid due to the high temperatures and proximity to the ocean. They rarely influence weather outside the tropical regions. Continental air masses form over land masses. They can be warm and cold depending on the season of the latitudes. They are often dry compared to maritime air masses due to the lack of moisture sources like oceans. The last one is the maritime air mass, which form over oceans. They are typically moist and moderate in temperature. When they move over land, they bring humidity and can cause precipitation, especially when meeting a cold air mass. We're going to look at the air mass modification. We have 2 modifications, that's the stable air masses and the unstable air masses. The stable air masses maintain their original characteristics when they move, and the unstable air masses undergo changes due to interaction with other air masses of the Earth's surface. Warm air rises over the cold, leading to mixing. The weather effects. When air masses meet, they can lead to weather phenomena like fronts. These are the boundaries between different air masses, which can cause rain, storm, and clear skies. Fronts include warm fronts and cold fronts and occluded fronts. Warm fronts replaces the cold airs. Cold airs replaces the warm air, and the occluded combines the warm and cold fronts. Understanding air masses and their interaction is crucial for weather prediction, as they significantly influence local and regional weather patterns. I welcome the next presenter.
Okay, we are going to talk about the classification of climate. And the term classification of climate refers to a system that categorizes the world's climates. That is, grouping the climates or regions into regions according to their similarities, Yeah, for example, regions with high temperatures, or cool climatic regions and cold climatic regions. In classification of climate, it is very difficult to classify world climate into distinct climatic zones because of transitional zones. What is meant by transitional zones is the boundaries between one climatic condition and another climatic condition. That is, for example, when you move from cool climatic condition to hot climatic conditions, there is no distinct boundary that differentiate the two climatic regions, but there is a transition from, for example, when you come from warm, then you come to cold. There is this transition that when you come from there is a criteria used for classifying climate. Here I have two criteria. The first one is Crick classification, and the second one is classification based on physical components. So in Crick classification, they based on temperature, and on classification based on physical components. The examples of the physical components that we are going to look on are net radiation, temperature, precipitation, and soil type. Net radiation refers to the amount of heat that is coming and going from in the atmosphere to the Earth's surface. Temperature refers to the degree of hotness or coldness of a region. Precipitation refers to all forms of weather coming from the sky as a form of, or the ground as a form of water. For example, snow, fog, and all those. Soil type refers to all the different types of soil. So in this lesson, we are going to base our learning on the classification based on physical components. In physical component, we have three categories of climate classification. The first one is the Thornwhite climate, the Köppen climate classification, and also the Miller's. In Thornwhite climate classification, Thornwhite is classification based on precipitation effectiveness and temperature efficiency. In his classification, he gave an example. For example, in a region full of in a forested area, the underground vegetation is not does not receive sufficient sunlight, and also in soils, wet soils, sandy soils lose water much faster than clay soils. We are now going to Köppen climatic classification. This classification is based on temperature and rainfall. It's also based on monthly and annual means of temperature and precipitation. Köppen's classification is highly accepted by climatologists. The reason as to why it's highly accepted is because it's simple, and also it uses letters to put the climate into different groups. And his classification, as he has classified the temperature from letter A to E. And letter A stands for tropical climate, B dry climate, C warm temperate climate, D ice climate, and also E is snow climate. The snow climate is along the polar regions of the earth. The tropical climate is along the equator or the tropics, between the equator and the tropics. We go to Miller's climatic classification. In Miller's classification, temperature is used to identify the major climatic groups, while precipitation is used to subdivide the climatic groups. According to him, he has 5 climatic regions, that is hot climates, warm temperate climates, cool temperate climates, cold climates, and Arctic climates. I welcome my next presenter to take us on the next part.
I will continue with the distribution and characteristics of climate regions of Kenya. The next is tropical northern climate experienced in small area in the northwestern part of Kenya, bordering Kenya. The following are characteristics of tropical northern climate, and these characteristics, they are the one that able to determine the kind of activity humans can carry out, which crop can grow in that certain area, in that region. So these are the characteristics that determines what kind of activity human being is able to carry out in that region. First, high average temperatures. Like there are crops which do well in high average temperatures. Even there is animals or livestock that are able to survive in high average temperatures. The next one is temperatures are modified in some places by altitude. Rain falls mainly in June and September. Maybe at this time, during these months, this is the time humans who live around those regions are able to plant their crops during around these months, June, September. The number 4 is experience long dry season of up to 6 months. The next climate region is modified equatorial climate. It is experienced around the coastal and the lake basins regions around the lake. The following are characteristics of modified equatorial climate. High temperatures throughout the year, mean annual about 27 degrees Celsius. Small mean annual range temperature about 4 degrees. Hottest months are December and January. Number 4, experience rainfall throughout the year, no dry seasons. Number 5, double maximum rain regime, 2 rain seasons in May and October. This region, which is around Lake Victoria and in the coastal, they support well crops like maize. They're able to do well in these regions because of high amount of rainfall and wide range of temperatures. The next one is modified tropical climate is experienced in central part highlands of east and western Rift Valley. This is where I can say agriculture is well practiced, well carried out because of good characteristics or good characteristics in these regions. The first characteristics is mean annual temperatures averages between 17 to 24 degrees, lower warmer slopes and cooler high slopes due to modified by altitude. Receives rainfall throughout the year, which enables them to have consistency in growing crops in this region. Number 4, receives orographic rainfall caused by southeast trade winds. Double maximum rainfall regime in the eastern highlands and single maximum in west highlands. High humidity in moderate in this region. That is why in Rift Valley they do well in growing of crops like maize, which they stabilize our economy. I welcome the next presenter to continue.
We are going to continue with aridity and desertification. Aridity is a state of land being deficient of moisture leading to scanty vegetation. We can as well revert it to a climate or environment that is extremely dry, typically characterized by a lack of moisture, low rainfall, and high evaporation rates. This can lead to limited water availability for plants and animals, making it challenging for them to survive. Desertification is the encroachment of desert-like conditions onto formerly arable land. We can also say it's a process by which fertile land gradually becomes desert due to various factors like prolonged aridity, unsustainable land management practices, deforestation, and climate change. We look at factors that influence aridity and desertification. Number one, prolonged drought. It is an extended period of low rainfall that can lead to arid conditions and contribute to desertification. We also have deforestation, which is the removal of trees and vegetation, disrupts and water cycle, and can lead to reduced moisture levels in the soil, making it more susceptible to desertification. Number three, we have overgrazing, which is excessive grazing by livestock, can lead to the removal of vegetation cover, which can contribute to soil erosion and reduce the land's ability to retain moisture. We also have improper agricultural practices. These are poor farming techniques such as overuse of irrigation, inappropriate crop choices, and improper land management that can lead to soil degradation and desertification. Finally, we have the climate change. Changes in climate patterns, including shifts in rainfall distribution and increased temperatures, can exacerbate aridity and contribute to desertification. I now welcome the next presenter to continue.
So we continue to climate change, and definition of climate change. This is the long-term alteration in Earth average weather patterns, including the temperature, precipitation, and wind patterns, mainly attributed to human activities such as burning of fossils, deforestation, and leading to increase in greenhouse gases in atmosphere. The causes of climate change: greenhouse effect. Certain gases trap heat in the Earth atmosphere, preventing it from escaping into space, increasing the level of these gases such as methane and carbon dioxide intensify the greenhouse effect. Cause number two is human activities. The burning of fossils for energy, deforestation, industrial process, and agricultural practices releases greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So the effects of climate change, it has led to the rising temperature. The global temperature has increased, leading to heat waves and altered weather patterns. Number two, extreme weather events. Increases in intensity and frequency of events like floods and droughts. Number three, ocean acidification. Increases carbon dioxide level, leads to acidic ocean, harming marine life like corals and shellfish. Number four, the biodiversity loss. Climate change disrupts ecosystem, leading to the extinction of plant and animal species. Number five, the melting ice and rising sea level. The polar ice caps and glaciers are melting, contributing to the rising sea levels and threatening the coastal communities. The mitigation and adaptation. So mitigation, the effort to reduce or prevent the emission of greenhouse gases includes afforestation. Number two, the adaptation. Strategies to cope with extreme and future impacts of climate change involves building infrastructure and water conservation and disaster preparedness. So I welcome the next presenter.
Okay, we will continue with global warming. Global warming is the long-term heating of the Earth's surface due to human activities, primarily fossil fuel burning, which increases heat trapping greenhouse gas levels in the atmosphere. Global warming is the long-term heating of Earth's surfaces observed since the pre-industrial period due to human activities. We'll go to the causes of global warming. Under the causes of global warming, we have burning fossil fuels, deforestation, agriculture, and farming. So under burning fossil fuels, the burning of coal, oil, and gas releases carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas into the atmosphere, trapping heat and causing global warming. Deforestation, forest and bushland act as carbon sinks and are a valuable means of keeping global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Humans clear vast areas of vegetation around the world for farming, urban and infrastructure development to sell the tree products such as timber and palm oil. Agriculture and farming. Animals, livestock like sheep and cattle, produce methane, a greenhouse gas. When livestock graze at a large scale, as in Australia, the amount of methane produced is significant. Nitrous oxide is also produced from fertilizers used in agriculture. Agriculture and farming contribute to about 25% of global greenhouse gas emission. In conclusion, under global warming, the main cause of global warming are burning fossil fuel, deforestation, and agriculture and farming. These human activities release greenhouse gas to the atmosphere, trapping heat and causing global warming. I will welcome the next presenter to do the conclusion.
Okay, in conclusion, under the study of climate of this group 1, we've studied the definition of climate, differentiation between climate and weather, and hope that every learner has understood what we mean by climate, what is the meaning of weather, and how we can differentiate them. The factors that influence climate, we've also looked about that. So let's meet at the next class. Have a good day. Hope you enjoyed the lesson.